First of all, hallelujah!
It is 4th and 26. McNabb is back. He's looking. He is firing, and it is caught by Freddie Mitchell.
And Pizarczyk fumbles the football. It's picked up by Herman Edwards. 15, 10, 5, touchdown Eagles. I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Jackson takes it at the 35. Picks it up. Looks for running room. He's at the 40. He's at the 45. Midfield. Oh! He's going to go! Touchdown Jackson! I don't care if he's short. He's running around. And he's in the end zone. And he's still going. And the Eagles win. Bring it back again. He steps up his head and falls forward. And he fumbles the football and the Eagles have it. And it's recovered. The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
You love the Philadelphia Eagles. Let me get a hell yeah!
E-A-G-L-E-S Eagles!
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Sundays for the Birds, a proud production of Old City Sports Network. You can find this show and all the other wonderful shows available to you on the Old City Sports Network at oldcitysports.com. That's old with an E, citysports.com. I am the mayor of John Street, joined by my two co-hosts, one Jake Long and one Kyle Not So Sharp. Kyle, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing great. Ready to talk about some playoff football from last week. A lot of great games. Hopefully some more great games this weekend, man.
Absolutely. Definitely some great games. Couple nail biters, couple blowouts. Biggest comeback in playoff history, maybe. Yeah, just overall great week of football. I think we all spent probably a combined 24 hours just sitting on our couches doing nothing but watching ball. So always a great weekend. But before we dive into that weekend of football, let me throw it over to you, Jake. How you doing, bro?
Good. Besides, like what I told you guys before the show, I feel like an idiot for turning down the playoff ticket, but I did it for the better good.
Rather watch yourself that.
Rather watch it with my son and my family. But also last time I went to a Eagles divisional round playoff game, they lost to the Saints. So, or maybe it was a wild card game, but that was the last playoff game I went to. So maybe I'm taking one for the team and just not going for a good cause. I hope at least.
If it's the Saints game I'm thinking of, it's when we lost in 2009.
When we lost with Nick Foles.
Yeah. So I got a funny story about that game. I wasn't at it, but I do know a guy that was there. He's got season tickets. His season tickets are right by the away team tunnel, first row. And if you remember, before that game, it snowed. They were actually giving away tickets to people that could come help shovel out the steps on the stadium. But the guy that I know actually got arrested after we lost that game because after the end of the game, all the snow had kind of like turned to ice. So he made an ice ball and he fucking pegged it at one of the Saints players, hit him right in the helmet.
Yeah, that was one of the coldest games I've ever been to. By the end of it, I felt like I had no feet. That's how cold it was. Every time I walked, just felt like I was getting stabbed. It was terrible. And then they lost, so double whammy.
Yeah, man. Hopefully this next playoff game here goes a little bit more in our favor than that. But yeah, let's just go over the playoff picture, guys. Let's talk about what we got going on here. Some of the games that we saw last weekend. I guess we'll start with the obvious one. Former Philadelphia Eagles head coach Dougie P. Largest comeback in playoff history. His Jacksonville Jaguars making a 27-point comeback against the once San Diego, now LA Chargers. Absolutely crazy. If you guys remember in a group chat, I kept, sending all the casket memes and shit like, Jags are dead. Kyle, you lost all your money. Ha, ha, ha. And I guess, Kyle, you had the last laugh. We got the gambling segment a little later, but you said you bet the Jags 4 times that night. I gotta know what was the
Yeah.
what was the total? What's the tail of the take? What'd you steal?
We did a nice little good number. When they were down at halftime, I was betting smaller, so I think I totaled like 1,100 by the end of the night, just off the Jags picks.
Sounds
Full
pretty good to me.
disclosure though, I did lose it the next day, at least most of it. The Vikings killed me in a lot of areas, but it's always so fun when you got a dog and you keep taking them when they're down and they come back. It's always a great thrill.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. I don't know if I'd be dumb enough or ballsy enough or whatever the fuck you want to call it to take the same team 4 times in a row, especially after the quarterback throws 4 interceptions to start the game. But
I'd like to call it ballsy, but I mean, if I'm being honest, it's just dumb. But dude, honestly, that was the best game of the weekend. I mean, there was a lot of good ones. Dolphins Bills was good as well. Ravens Bengals was another good one, but Jags Chargers topped it all off for me. Started off, and it's got to be the nail in the coffin for Brandon Staley too.
yeah, I think so. And I'm sure we'll talk about this a little bit in the offseason, but that's starting to look like a pretty good landing spot for Sean Payton out there if he
Yep.
decides to leave TV. Any other games that were really entertaining to you? I know you mentioned the Dolphins Bills game, and that was an entertaining one. But I gotta say, it was sort of a letdown. Just because you've come to expect so much from the Bills at this point, and they were just turning the ball over. They let the Dolphins get way closer in that game than they honestly should have. I was really expecting to see a much better Bills team. All credit to the Dolphins, but I really think that was more the Bills playing down to their competition rather than the Dolphins playing up to theirs.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I thought right away. I was like, the Bills thought they were going to come out and just walk all over them, and Miami hung tough. So credit to them. They had Tua. Bills might have played, at a higher level, but if not, they could have easily stole that game from the Bills.
100%. And another team that just continues to play well, continues to impress me. San Fran, right? I mean, Brock Purdy. It's like every time everybody expects him to, maybe this is a game where you see his true colors a little bit, and throws for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. The kid's he's just good.
Yeah, I mean, his running game helps him a lot because when he gets that play action, I mean, he literally has all day to throw.
Yeah, I'm not arguing that, but again, 7th-round rookie, nobody's expecting those kind of numbers.
Yeah, I agree. But we'll see if they face tough pass rush here against Dallas or whoever they play next week if they win.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, you gotta admit, I mean, the kid doesn't know what he doesn't know, right? So,
Yep.
He's going in there, he's riding high, and I'll be honest with you, I can really see the Niners beating Dallas. I mean, hell, Dallas just won their first road playoff game in 30-some fucking years. Like, I just, do you really trust Dallas to go into San Francisco and walk away with a win? I, for one, don't. I mean, it's the playoffs. Dallas doesn't win in the playoffs. Straight up. Dallas sucks.
Not to be that guy that did win last week.
Yeah, they still don't win in the playoffs.
I said it before the pod when we were talking. I'll say it again. I know the Bucs weren't good all year. I just really expected Brady to have the team ready to play in the postseason.
They gave up a while ago. I mean, they would have lost to Carolina if Carolina wasn't playing Bistro Man, Josh Norman at corner, because J.C. Horn would have completely locked down Mike Evans. The other corner was out too. So, I mean, Tampa Bay was just packing it in. They're done.
I don't want to get into any Mike Evans banner because I'll consistently back him. He's my guy. He's just absolutely disrespected. But I know they weren't good. It's just Tom Brady in the playoffs. Like, enough said. Like, at least be competitive. And it wasn't from the get-go.
No,
that was by far the least entertaining game.
Yeah, I went to bed early in that one. I was like, there's no shot the Bucs are winning this game.
Yeah, the only reason you were watching is if you wanted to see the Cowboys miss another kick.
Yeah, and then exactly. And then waking up and just going on social media and seeing Cowboys fans fucking pound their chest like they just fucking won something for beating an 8-9 Tampa Bay team that was packing it in anyway. They were ready to get rid of all of their coaches. and the way they celebrated that was just ridiculous. I mean, yeah, it's your
I mean,
first road playoff win in fucking 29 years or something, and it had to
wow.
come against an 8-9 Bucks team that has just been playing absolutely terrible last year. They shouldn't even been in the playoffs. I mean, come on now. I understand. Be happy. Be happy. You won a playoff game. I'm fine with that. But the way they fucking cap locking their post, fucking putting exclamation points and shit, like, chill out, guys. It's not the fucking Brady of old and the Buccaneers of a couple of years ago. Even last year, this team was just rattled with injuries and not ready to go. I mean, they got healthy for the playoffs, but none of them played together most of the year.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
plain and simple, you need to humble yourselves if you're the Cowboys here, right? So we got somebody checking in over here on YouTube, says I think that Dallas Juju will certainly get to them against the 49ers, and that's kind of what I was alluding to earlier. You know, that's just I just don't trust the Cowboys in the playoffs.
I actually, unfortunately, I work with a lot of Cowboys fans. I'm not sure how that turned out, but the boss is a Cowboys fan. The one parts vendor that we deal with all the time for Freightliner is a Cowboys fan. So just a lot of everybody was upbeat that day. You know, it's kind of crazy, but it is what it is.
You need to surround yourself with some better people.
I can't control who I work with.
They're holding you down.
Yeah. Holding you down, holding you back. Straight up. So I guess we ought to dive into the Giants game, huh? Giants beat the Minnesota Vikings despite every attempt by the refs to try and hand the game back to the Vikings with that asinine roughing the passer call. And again, that's coming from a Birds fan, but that there is no doubt in my mind that is not a roughing the passer at all. He still had the ball when he took him to the. I don't know.
No, it was atrocious. And I mean, I texted all my buddies and shit. It was like, I don't care if it's a team I hate. It just can't be called.
Right.
It can't be.
It ruins the integrity of the game.
And they have this new. You guys notice? I'm sure if you listen to radio and everything, you notice the new expedited replay that they do now.
Yes.
Where they
the
can
announcers
call
won't
down.
shut up about it.
Yeah. So nobody knew about it until they started fucking saying it, and penalties got to be one of them. They got to fucking tap down to them, tap in their mic or their earpiece and say, yo, that's not a penalty, pick the flag up.
100%.
I mean, if they're going to do it for everything else, then they should be doing it for that as well.
I just don't know if the league wants to go down that road again after that monstrosity that was the season where you could challenge pass interference. Like, I just don't know if that's.
I mean, you should be able to challenge any play on the football field.
Yeah.
You have two challenges. Why can't you challenge a blatant face mask on a crucial play? And then, because then you got to decide as a coach, do I use my challenge on that or do I save it in my pocket for later? You know what I mean? But if it's say the Dallas Goedert fumble against Washington, if that face mask is called, there's no fumble there. We get 15 yards tacked on to whatever he was running for.
Right.
And it's just, it's not like they get an
100%.
extra challenge. It's just they can challenge everything on the football field. If you can challenge plays and turnovers and things like that, well, a penalty's still, a challenge too. And if it's 50-50 on like a pass interference, that's on your coach for throwing that red flag. And if it's 50-50, they're most likely going with whatever was called on the field. So you can't be mad at the refs for that. You have to be mad at your coach for challenging 50-50 play. But a face mask or roughing the passer or a blatant hold on your defensive end or something like that, throw a challenge flag. And that's how it should be. Either that or, like I said, it should be the expedited replay. They get to look at it 3 times before they announce that penalty.
I wouldn't hate to see them even just implement half of it, right? If you could challenge penalties that were called. Like in this situation, it was clearly not roughing the passer. Challenge it that it's not. Maybe go that route just to kind of see how it goes. I just think that, like, how many games got slowed down that first year with challenging?
That first game Saturday was fucking 8 years long.
Yep.
Was it Saturday or Sunday? It was Saturday. Right? Yeah.
The Seahawks game.
No, it was Sunday because they kept pushing the Giants game back. It was supposed to start at 4:30 and they moved it to 4:50 because the game was fucking taking forever. That first game, who the hell was Bengals game? I think or
No,
Bills
Bengals game was a night game.
Bills Dolphins game. The game took like 4.5 hours. At least it felt like it. It didn't get over till 4:45.
Yeah, one of them took
Jake,
long.
is this
Now
one of
I'm
your
questioning which
Packers
ones.
fan buddies?
Nah, he's a Steelers fan.
No, even worse. Get him out of here.
Yeah.
Now I'm with Jake on here. I mean, in any sport, basketball too, football, having rules on what you can and can't challenge is just stupid. I mean, like you should be able to either not challenge anything or challenge everything. Like it's just, I've always had that feeling.
And it's not going to slow the game down because you get 2 challenges. Like I could challenge a fucking half-yard spot in the very first drive if I wanted to.
Yeah, no, 100%. And as far as the, back to the Giants and the Vikings game, analyzing the Giants here a little bit. Danny Dimes played great, right? Minnesota's just atrocious on the defensive end all year, just getting picked apart in the pass defense. But Danny Dimes did look good. He's looked, better over the last couple of weeks. But again, he's just not a good NFL quarterback. The Eagles shouldn't have problems versus him. And just, again, we talked about how great some of the games were this weekend, but one thing is, 7 out of the 12 teams scored over 30 points. A lot of fucking offense, man. I mean, got to be able to play some defense in the postseason. Can't allow 30 points, especially to the fucking Giants. Like Saquon wasn't involved in the game plan. Can't allow the running game to get going. Like there's a lot of stuff that the Eagles should do better at than I felt like most of the teams didn't do this weekend.
Right. Well, and you're kind of starting to see the cost of that now. The Vikings announced today that they're going to be going in a different direction with their defensive coordinator.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, they were dog shit all year in the secondary. I mean, it's just it's not like they don't got some players either.
They made Daniel Jones look like Steve Young, and they did not change anything whatsoever.
Yeah, that was arguably Jones's best game of his career.
It was by far.
I mean,
there's guys just running wide open now.
All right,
I think he's only thrown
here from your Steelers fan, buddy, and this might be the most intelligent thing to ever come out of his mouth. Hate the Birds, but Jalen is a stud. Always has been.
I don't know about the always part, but he certainly is a stud now.
I've been on a J train since Tuscaloosa, and I ain't getting off in Philadelphia.
I wouldn't expect it, but I mean, I think Daniel Jones has thrown like 4 300-yard games in his career, and I think 2 of them have come in the last 4 weeks versus the Vikings. Just absolutely atrocious. I mean, I know Avonte Max is going to be out again. You've seen reports of C.J. Gardner-Johnson playing the slot a little bit on some situations, but you can't allow that, right? Like you can't allow Daniel Jones to beat you. You got to stack the box because Saquon, I know he wasn't really involved in the game plan a whole lot this week, but he's really the best player on that offense. And we've critiqued Jonathan Gannon all year, and I don't want to see off zone coverage versus Darius Slayton and fucking Isaiah Hodgins. Like they're just some of the worst starting receivers in the league. And you can't allow them to have separation. Like I want to see some press man jam them at the line.
No doubt. That's why I say if they come out in a soft zone, I'm gonna fucking lose my mind.
You seen it all fucking year, dude. It's just I expect to see it. I just don't understand why. Like especially versus these guys. Like they're no disrespect. They're not starting NFL receivers.
Even if you're playing zone, you can still press and play press zone.
Still press and jam them.
You don't have to play off, and that's the only reason I would see us not playing man is because the fact that Daniel Jones can run. He can move. So if you're playing man and once those corners turn their back and he sees a lane, he's going to go get that first down. He's going to get it with ease.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know why people don't spy. I feel like that's an underused thing in the league now. I mean, I guess it takes away a defender from coverage, but you shouldn't have a problem with him beating you over the top, so why not have the extra defender in the box to spy Jones?
Yeah.
So I think the reason the spy is underutilized in the league today, anyway, I think it's in part due to the lack of respect for the linebacker position. You see more and more teams not valuing that linebacker position, and 8 out of 10 times, if you're running a spy, you're going to use a linebacker, and there's not many guys anymore that are that athletic at the at the linebacker position that can, keep up with some of these scrambling quarterbacks. Like, there's not many linebackers in the league that I think could keep up with Daniel Jones or Jalen Hurts for that matter.
I mean, the linebackers are getting more athletic, though. I mean, they're not that they can keep up with quarterbacks, but they should be able to do a better job now than before. And I don't understand why, like you said, people underutilize linebacker position. I don't know why you can't go to a dime package or, I mean, hell, if teams are in fucking nickel most of the time. I don't understand why you can't have a DB spy him.
I just don't know I don't know if a lot of coaches are willing to pull a DB out of coverage.
I mean, maybe.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind pulling an Epps out of coverage, bringing him down into the box and him being the spy.
Yeah.
He's probably your
I
best
think
tackling guy in the second.
TJ Edwards could do it also. I mean, he's a very rangy player. He can, obviously leading the team in tackles this year.
He's a good player, but I still like Jones to get the angle on him, more times than not.
Yeah.
Good news. Looks like Lane Johnson's gonna be back in the lineup, right? That's a positive.
100%. Best tackle in the league. Left, right, don't matter. Straight up, Lane Johnson is the best tackle in the National Football League.
Yeah, I mean, Jake spoke to the record the Eagles had with and without him on the field in a previous pod, so absolutely that's a big boost for him. Wanted the little kind of side note ask you guys. Buddy at work said Jason Kelce, this was his best year as an Eagle. Curious on your guys' thoughts on that and where you rank this year as opposed to any of the other of his previous years.
I wouldn't say his best year, but the Super Bowl year was probably his best year.
Okay.
But, I mean, this is up there. I mean, he's been the best center in the league the past 5 years, so pick any one of
I'll
them.
call this a top 3 season from Kelce. Number 1, obviously, the Super Bowl season. Right? He was absolutely mauling people that year. That was a year after a lot of people were starting to question whether or not we should move on from him because the year prior, he was really getting bullied by some of the bigger defensive tackles. Came back, bulked up, and silenced all the haters and won a championship in the process, right? Phenomenal leader. And then to me, I think number 2, his number 2 best season would have to be last year. I mean, all the plays last year, because we switched to that very run-heavy offense late in the year, and that's when you really started to see all these highlight reel blocks by Kelce. It's not often you see a center getting out there and blocking corners and getting out to the safeties. And you saw a lot of that. You saw Kelce, running out past his running back to get out and clear a lane ahead of him, keeping right up with the running back. So I think last year was certainly a great season, but I think this year has been solid. I would call it a number 3 season. Just all around solid season. Not too many penalties. Obviously, a couple of miscues on the snaps. But that's to be expected. If you follow the New Heights podcast with Jason and his brother, Travis, he's acknowledged that every quarterback he's ever played with hates the way that he snaps the ball. So,
You don't hate how he blocks, though.
no, sir. But yeah, I would say it was probably his third best season overall. And the fact that he's doing it late in his career is outstanding.
All right. I was just curious. I thought that was interesting to hear. I think he's had a fine season, but just to say it was the best, I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, Matt Haney checking in over on Facebook says, "Shit, all I got to say is it's going to be a good game."
He's a Giants fan, by the way.
Get him out of here. Get him out of here. Go Birds, baby. Yeah, I actually work with a Giants fan as well. He's been running his mouth all week, but just like I said on Twitter, all you Giants fans can keep running your mouth and fuck Philly and everything that you got to say, Danny Dimes, blah blah blah. It's the most excited you're going to be right now in this moment is the most excited you're going to be for this playoff game because every time the clock ticks closer to game time, closer to kickoff, your butthole's getting just a little bit tighter. You're getting nervous over there. I said it on Twitter too. You guys are getting nervous. Closer and closer we get to kickoff. And I think we're going to see the Eagles offense from midseason, not this Eagles offense that we saw the last 4 or 5 weeks where they kind of struggled. I think I think realistically, you're going to see the offense that hung nearly 50 on this Giants team.
That's actually a good point by you, because I wanted to ask how you guys thought this game was going to play out, because obviously, they've played twice. Third game, of the year versus a team is always tough. First game, dropped 50 on them, blew them out. Second game, low scoring versus some of the backups. How do we think this game plays out? Or, are the Eagles going to maybe run a little bit more, like some people have been saying recently? Is it going to be high scoring?
Giants are 26 in the league against the run.
What's your guys' thoughts on how all that's going to pan out?
I just know that if the Eagles play their B- game, we still blow out the Giants. We just have the better roster. The Giants are going to come to play. They're playing with nothing to lose. We're the ones with everything to lose. They're not expected to win. We are. So we can't come out, like Sean mentioned about the Giants fans, the Eagles players can't come out with their buttholes tight. They got to fucking come out ready to go, ready to slam the ball in our throat. They got to come out with a good game plan. And if we win the coin toss, take the fucking ball, run it down their throat, nice 8-minute drive, score a touchdown, get that place rocking, and get that defense on the field to sack Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I think what you mentioned there is going to be key. If you win the coin toss, I know they've deferred all year, but I'm with you, Jake. I'd love to see them take the ball early, run it down their throats, big clock eating, demoralizing drive, similar to what you saw the Saints put on against us a few weeks ago, and just take the wind out of their sails right from the get-go. Get that home crowd fired up, and I think it'll be smooth sailing from there.
Real quickly, Jake, you touched on how the Eagles roster is just that much better than the Giants, and even at their B- game, they should win. Quick shout out to Brian Dable. I mean, he's a fantastic coach. He's done a fantastic job this year for the Giants.
Making Daniel Jones look like an NFL quarterback.
Absolutely, and Daniel Jones might get paid because of it. But back to, what we were talking about earlier is, how does the game come out? Do the Eagles run the ball and all that? Is there still any worry about Jalen Hurts' shoulder? I haven't seen it talked about much this week. I also don't read a whole lot of the news and follow the radio or anything.
They can't
still a worry.
They can't call the game like they're worried about it.
Oh,
It's
absolutely.
still or die. You got to put him out there. If he ends up re-aggravating it, and we got to go Minshew, you just got to do it. But you can't hold your breath. You can't hold anything back. Just let him go out and do what he does best and hope for the best. But I think having that long period of time off, it originally was reported as a 2-week injury. He had off for 3-4 weeks, then played one game where he didn't really take any punishment, and then he had another week off. So he wasn't listed on an injury report at all this week, which is a good sign. So I think the full offense is wide open, and they're going to run it the way they got to 14-3.
Absolutely. The only thing that I hope is a little bit different in the offense, I hope Jalen just runs a little smarter. Like, I don't need to see you trying to run through two guys at the goal line unless it's
at the goal line.
That's when you need it.
You need to. If it's like
third down or a
goal
line.
I'm telling you, balls
good with. But that play earlier this season where he dropped his throwing shoulder, and ran through two guys at the goal line. I don't need that from my quarterback. I'm sorry.
Ooh,
you need a touchdown.
I don't need that in the regular season, but in the playoffs where every play counts, I'm cool with it. And I think you saw that a little bit in the Giants last week, or in the last week of the year versus the Giants. The offense isn't quite the same when he's clearly not the running threat. Not saying he's bad. I mean, he's clearly good, but it takes away when he was clearly trying to protect his shoulder and not run, and the whole dynamic of the offense switched.
Yeah, the Giants defense coordinator, who's also a great coach, knew right away that they were not putting Hurts in harm's way. So what did he do? He sent blitzes because he knew he was just going to roll out and throw it away. That's why the game was so close. They just fucking sent the house. And we're running such a Manila blocking scheme, play scheme that it was just like, do enough to get the win and get Hurts out of here. And that's what they did. That's why I think the Giants defense looked so well, because it was like, Jones, they're not going to put him in harm's way. We're going to rush the shit out of him, and he's either going to throw it up or scramble and throw it away. He's not going to take a hit. And that's exactly what the Giants did, and that's exactly what the Eagles did.
Yeah. No, I'm with you guys. I don't think you're holding anything back now. You know, we've said it already. It's playoffs. Can't coach scared. You can't play scared. Um, you know, got to leave it all out on the field there. Um, you guys ready to do some score predictions?
Yep.
All right. Score predictions powered by our friends over at Row One. Check out Row One and use our promo code OCSN15 for 15% off all sports artwork site wide. Once again, that's promo code OCSN15 at Row One. Get yourself some awesome man cave artwork, all sports artwork. Once again, 15% off site wide. OCSN15. Kyle, I'll start with you. Your new not so favorite segment.
Exactly. I don't even. What is the spread at actually? Because I do think
7.5.
7.5. Okay, 'cause I was about to say I do think it's a double-digit Eagles victory. I think it's pretty close throughout. Eagles maintain the lead for most of the way, and then they get a late score in the fourth quarter to put them over the top. I'm gonna say 24-16. I guess that's not a double-digit victory. Fuck it.
No, it's not. They're covering. Yeah, they're covering.
But I think it's right around 10. I think 7.5 is a good spread. I don't think the Giants put up fucking 30 again. There's no fucking way. If they do, then the Eagles got major fucking problems.
Yep.
All right. So you got a double digit. So are you gonna give a score or?
Well, I mean,
It was an 8-point score.
I gave you an 8-point double-digit score right there. That's how good I am.
It's making up new numbers.
Yeah, you got
0.08 counts as double digits.
So just so you know, just because an 8 looks like 2 zeros stacked on top of each other, that doesn't make it a double digit.
No, I got that, but I had the decimal point. I had 8.0. So I mean, it was 2 numbers.
All right, keep dancing around it all you want.
Yeah,
Jake, I'll throw it over to you. What do you got? Score prediction.
I originally today was thinking, it's possible that the Giants could win, and I was thinking to myself coming on here and predicting the Giants to win. But the more I look at it, it's just I don't see how they can beat the Eagles. I just don't see it. I mean, Minnesota, Kirk Cousins went up and down the field on that defense without having Justin Jefferson as a big factor. So they took him away. You can take A.J. Brown away, but guess what? We don't have some bums on the other side. We got Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert, and then you got little Boston Scott out of the backfield too. So you can do all you want with taking A.J. Brown out of the game, but you better believe that there's going to be 2 other guys wide open, and I think that's what's going to really decide the game, other than our defensive line getting the pressure, coming up with another 5-sack game on Saturday, and the Eagles roll 38-24.
38-24. All right. So I have a little more confidence in our defense. I'll give my score first, then I'll tell you why. So I got the Eagles 28, Giants 17. Cruz 11-point victory. I think the Giants get a touchdown at the end to make it a little closer. But all in all, the Eagles walk away pretty easily here. I think Dallas Goedert's going to have a pretty big night across the middle. But I really think it's going to come down to the run game. And this is me, putting faith in Shane Steichen that he's not just going to say, oh, well, they're bad against the run, so we're going to come out and pass it because they think we're going to run it. I'm putting some faith in him to actually look at what the Giants do well and don't do well and run the ball down their throats. I think it's going to be a big night for Miles Sanders. I know we got the betting segment a little bit later, but I think I got 2 separate running backs scoring on this one. I think Miles Sanders scores early. I think Boston Scott gets a late touchdown again. And overall, I think the Eagles' run game is going to dominate. We're going to get that big offensive line fired up. Lane Johnson's back out there, ready to maul some people, and just get that big group up front fired up. Let them hit somebody. Let them get out there and move some people around. We all know offensive linemen love to run block, so
Yeah, establish that run, and the pass will follow. You
Absolutely. Work
establish
the
that
play
run,
action
you
after
play
that. Get
action.
Dallas Goddard and
Yep.
Nassim.
AJ Brown, Devontae Smith down the sideline. They got to come out and establish the run. I think that's the key to the game. They have to
Absolutely.
establish it, and everything else will come right off of it.
26th in the league against the run. You have every reason to run the ball.
Yep.
I think it's really interesting that you brought up how the Giants played Justin Jefferson. Really made him a non-factor. Held him under, what is that? I think 50 receiving yards.
Yeah.
I had him for over 100, so he fucked me there. But, that's besides the point. They really bracketed him and doubled him for most of the game with a safety over the top. I don't know that the Giants have the luxury of doing this week versus A.J. Brown, like you said. So do you think they try that, or do you think they try to just, defend across the board pretty evenly? What do you think the strategy is there?
I think they're going to do it evenly and send a shitload of blitzes, because that's one thing our offensive line struggled with this year was picking up blitzes. Even with Lane Johnson in there and a full healthy line, we still struggled with it. I think that's their best shot at doing anything, because you never know. You get to a quarterback, the ball pops out, anything can happen. So that's probably their number one key is to blitz Hurts, get them moving, and hopefully you get them down or make them throw a bad throw in the end zone like you did the final game of the week.
Well, let me ask you this. You said the offense struggled to pick up blitzes this year, and I think the offensive line did struggle in some areas with that. But do you also think that's maybe due to Hurts' inability to make pre-snap adjustments at the line?
No.
Do you think that plays into effect in it?
No. I think maybe not seeing his reads as fast might, but he also helped the offensive line with being able to run out of those blitzes. Because sometimes I think the offensive line, it looks like they're even told, like, if that guy shoots up the middle and there's no one to the outside of you, just guide him in and let him go, because Hurts is going to have the ability and the awareness to just pop outside and look downfield to throw it or to take off and run.
So I think what's your thoughts on that? Because you gave me a quick no.
So I think a big reason why we struggled with blitz pickup this year is it's honestly pretty simple. I think this coaching staff has a disdain for helping out their offensive line. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. We have the best offensive line in football, but even the best offensive line is going to need a little bit of help from the tight ends. It's going to need the running backs to do some blitz pickup. And I think throughout the season, you've seen this offensive coaching staff's reluctance to keep Dallas Goedert in or have him do a block and release. Have Miles Sanders stay in the backfield on some of these shotgun shot plays. And same thing, even if he wants to just do a chip block and then release out into the flat. But they just don't help these guys out. And even Lane Johnson, Lane Johnson, best tackle in football. If you could just buy an extra half a second, that could be the difference between somebody coming open deep downfield or not. And having that tight end in there to help out would certainly allow that to happen. But I do understand wanting to get Dallas Goedert involved in the passing game, and not necessarily leaving him in the block. But you've also seen this team want to run a lot of two tight end sets, and Stoll's proven to be a pretty solid blocking tight end. And honestly, I think that left side could use a little help anyway, especially when it comes to pass blocking. That left side, as untraditional as it is in the NFL, our left side is great at run blocking, not so great at pass blocking. And that's where you could certainly need some help.
All right.
I agree.
All right. You guys ready to move on?
Let's roll.
All right. Let's throw it over to Dog of the Week. All right, Dog of the Week, obviously coming off a bye week. We don't have anybody for last week, but we can predict somebody for next week. Eagles, Giants, 8:15 this Saturday. Dog of the Week, brought to you by our friends at Neshaminy Creek Brewing Company, right in the heart of Croydon, Pennsylvania, Lower Bucks County. Neshaminy Creek Brewing Company, available anywhere fine beverages are sold. Also brought to you by our friends Sterling Pig Brewing Company out in Media, Pennsylvania, right out in Delco. Make sure you check them out. That's Sterling Pig Brewing Company. Always recommend the Snuffler IPA or the Shoat. Both phenomenal beers. I'm staring at both of them in my beer fridge across the room now. Might have one after I get off the show here. That's the Chamonix Creek Brewing Company and Sterling Pig Brewing Company, proudly sponsoring this segment, Dog of the Week. All right, guys, Dog of the Week. Let's throw our predictions around. Jake, I'll start with you.
I'm gonna go with my guy coming back from injury, Josh Sweat. I just love the way he started playing before that neck stinger that he received. Glad to see him back out in the field. He's looking good, and I expect a big game out of him because I think the Giants are going to keep their eye more on Reddick than anyone on the defensive line. So I think Sweaty has a couple sacks here this weekend.
I think it'll definitely open up play for him for sure. All right, I like it. Kyle, who you got?
Can I give 2?
Cheater, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. I'd like to do an offense and a defensive. On the defense, I want to give it to TJ Edwards. Leads the team in tackles, like you said earlier. And we really saw the Giants come out in a pass-heavy game script last week. I think this week it's the reverse. They know that if the Eagles do have a weakness on defense, it is the running backs. So I think they try to establish the run a little bit more. I think TJ Edwards will have to have a good game in that aspect. On the offensive side of the ball, I think it's going to be Devontae Smith with a big game. I don't know that they bracket A.J. Brown like they did Justin Jefferson, but dude, the Eagles, they made a big-time effort to get Devontae Smith more involved. I want to say about week 8 or 9. They really moved him to the slot more. You know, he's gotten more targets, and he's really, from a numbers aspect, outproduced A.J. Brown the last, 6-7 weeks of the year. Not saying he's a better receiver, just saying from a numbers aspect, he put up better numbers. And I think that continues this week. I think he's going to be the leading receiver for him. And if anybody has a big game, goes over 100 and a tutty, I think it's going to be him.
All right. I like it. I do like your TJ Edwards pick also, but not for what he's going to bring in the run game. I think because he's really taken a step forward in pass coverage. We've seen this team likes to run a lot of zone. And we saw the Giants last week. They ran a lot of slant patterns, a lot of crossing patterns, a lot of stuff in the middle of the field. And I think you're going to see TJ make some big tackles on some of these short pass patterns, and set up some big 3rd and 4th down situations. So that's a great pick by you there. But I said earlier, I think the Eagles, if they're smart, are going to come out and they're going to try to establish the run. And for me, I think if you're going to do that, it all starts with Miles Sanders. We all know that Miles had his issues the last couple of weeks of the season. Obviously, a little banged up with the knee, fumbling issues. I think it's a good opportunity for him to get right. Like I said, 26th rush defense in the league. And for that reason, I got to go with my boy Miles Sanders.
Oh, your boy Miles Sanders. Okay.
I said that because I knew it was going to tweak you. But no, seriously, Miles has had a great season, and it's unfortunate that he's probably not going to be back next season. I just don't see him giving him a second contract. But we'll talk about that in the offseason. In the meantime, let's throw it on over to our not-so-sharp picks of the week.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, 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 money.
Dollar.
All right, not-so-sharp picks of the week. This is where we give you our not-so-sharp gambling advice for the week that lies ahead. Not So Sharp Picks of the Week brought to you by our friends at Fanatics. Fanatics, the home of everything official. Make sure you check them out for all your Eagles playoff gear. Get ready and get rolling through the playoffs the right way with our friends at Fanatics. Also brought to you by our friends at Righteous Felon Beef Jerky. Join the Jerky Cartel with our friends at Righteous Felon. Use our promo code OCSN for 15% off your entire order of the absolute best beef jerky money can buy. From our friends at Righteous Felon, made right in Chester, right out there in Westchester. Righteous Felon Beef Jerky. And last but certainly not least, Norse Beards, the official beard care sponsor of Old City Sports Network. You want to look like the mayor of John Street, you want to look like Jake Long, you want to look like the Norse gods, and you want to save 25%, go to our friends at Norse Beards and use our promo code OCS for 25% off. All right, not so sharp picks of the week. Kyle, not so sharp. What do you got for us this week?
So I got a big time upset, and I'm going to make a comparison that I hopefully people don't gawk at. Similar to last year, how Joe Burrow was, a good quarterback, but their run to the Super Bowl kind of cemented him as a top 5 quarterback, cemented him as, that guy. He was good, but then people started putting him in that conversation. Now his team's one of the premier teams in the AFC. I'm going with the Jags. They're hot. They're playing the vaunted Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead. 8.5 points is a lot. So they're definitely covering. But I like the spread. I like the money line. I like them to win outright.
Oh.
I like them to win outright. Give me all those 8.5 points back. Trevor Lawrence, he played in the college football playoffs. He's played in bigger and better crowds than Come on, man. Dude, I'm riding the hype. T-Law is my guy. He's putting Jacksonville on the map, baby.
Nah, you're nuts.
Hey, dude, call me nuts.
Jaguars pass defense is so damn bad. Patrick Mahomes is going to throw for 350 plus, 3+ touchdowns. Take all of Mahomes over.
Let him.
He's going to light him up.
Lawrence will throw for more. Let him.
Okay.
Mahomes is throwing for 400 because they have no run game to speak of.
Yeah.
The only way for them to, unfortunately, the only way for them to run clock is to continue to pass the ball. Very unconventional, but stick to your guns, do what works, do what got you there. I just don't see it, Kyle. I hope it works out for you.
I'm the same guy that took them 4 times last week. I'll do it again.
I'm sure you will. How'd that turn out for you, by the way?
Well, it turned out great that day.
Yeah, until you lost.
Next day was good.
It was the next day when Justin Jefferson just decided he wasn't going to play football that day.
Uh-huh. All right, I got one for you. It's pretty simple, 2-leg parlay. I got the Eagles money line, and I got Boston Scott anytime touchdown score. Boston Scott, as we all know, is the giant killer. That's plus 378. $20 bet gets you $95 on the FanDuel app, so make sure you check that one out. Actually, I think it might be a little bit different. I got this a couple days ago. Probably pays more now. Boston Scott's odds actually got a little bit longer. I think you said it was up to like 360 something, Kyle?
390 when I checked before the pod.
Yeah, so the odds actually got a little bit longer. Kind of crazy. I might have to double down on that one. Jake, what do you got for us? Not so sharp picks of the week.
I'll do a parlay on every game just to make every game interesting. Not touchdown wise, just game wise. So what I have so far is the Chiefs minus 8.5. I think they absolutely destroyed the Jaguars. The Eagles minus 7.5. I might tease that to like 4.5 later on. The Bills, I think, completely roll the Bengals. So I got them minus 5.5. And there's got to be an upset somewhere. And unfortunately, I think the NFL wants it anyway. I think the Cowboys upset the 49ers, so I took them money line.
Ooh.
And at 4-leg parlay, $10 would win you $173.
All right.
Eagles fan picking the Cowboys.
There's got to be upsets sometime during the week.
I hear you.
Should be interesting too. There's actually a shot at there being a all NFC East NFC Championship.
Yep.
Kind of crazy. I don't think Dallas holds up their end of the bargain though. I really don't. Once
I
again,
hope that's true.
playoffs. At the same time, though, I would kind of feel better about playing Dallas in the NFC Championship than I would San Francisco. Brock Purdy or no Brock Purdy, I mean, they got a 3-headed monster over there with Ayuk, Debo, and Christian McCaffrey. So
I couldn't deal with the lead up to the Cowboys game because if somehow we did lose, man, I would go off the grid. I'd delete every social media. I'd fucking put up a wall around my house, a roof over top top of the dome so nobody can see me, get to me. I couldn't fucking do it. But they are cockroaches, so the fans will find some way to get in your house. They always do.
Of course. And more importantly, we'd have to look for a new co-host. So let's hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
All right. You guys ready for final thoughts? Get ready to roll into this playoff weekend?
Yes, I am.
All right. Kyle, your second favorite segment?
Yeah, so the three of us, beginning of the year, we did a CBS Sports pick'em.
Yeah, we all stopped playing halfway through the season.
No, everybody made picks every week. I was just looking at it, except for last week, none of us made picks. But I just want to point out, I am at 130, above everyone else by a couple points. So I just wanted to, pat myself on the back.
You realize I haven't picked for about 6 weeks. It just auto picks and gives.
Oh shit! Are you serious? It auto picks?
Yeah, if you didn't make picks, it'll give you like 1 or 2 less points than the lowest person.
Oh, dude, you could have just let me have my moment. Like, come on, dude.
Yeah, you did well, dude.
I was like so happy, and I wanted a little pat on the
Kyle,
back.
not so sharp. You are smarter than a computer, but you are not smarter than a fifth grader.
Thank you. Ruined my whole bubble right there. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh man.
There goes his final thought.
You want to try again?
I really don't. I'm kind of ticked off right now.
Okay. All right. I'll throw it over to you, Jake. What do you got for us? Final thoughts tonight?
I mean, there's nothing like playoff football when the Eagles are in it and relevant. I mean, it's my anxiety's high every day. Listening to the radio, I'm just counting down the minutes, the hours to game time. When I'm in my truck at work and I'm listening to the radio, I just, I don't know. I get that weird gut feeling, and I'm just like, the anxiety kicks in. I really want to get the game going. So I'm glad tomorrow's Friday, end of the work week. Gonna knock it out, and then I shouldn't drink Saturday. So I gotta wake up early Sunday to go to Atlantic City for a class for work. But there's no shot I'm not drinking some rum and coke on a Saturday night Eagles playoff game. So I'm ready to get loaded. I'm ready for a fucking Birds win, and I cannot wait.
All right. So I guess I'll bring the energy.
Yeah, I would bring energy if I had some rum and coke in me. But
You guys are very monotone here tonight. Kyle's all piss pants because he's smarter than a computer, even though he thought he was smarter than the rest of us. Plain and simple, the Eagles are going to roll. This is a Giants team that has no right being in the playoffs. This is a Giants team that has no right to have the amount of wins in the W column as they do this season. This is a Giants team that I have consistently said all season long are paper tigers. This is a Giants team that somehow, by the grace of God and Brian Daboll, have somehow made a quarterback out of Daniel Jones. Have you ever heard of a Duke quarterback doing absolutely anything in the NFL? No, you haven't. And it's not going to start this weekend in Philadelphia. The Eagles are going to roll. We're going to kill the Giants. And the NFC Championship game is going to be at the Link.
let's go.
Saturday night, 8:15. Giants, bring your best shot because you're going to need it. Birds are going to roll. We'll see you guys back here next week before the NFC Championship game. Go Birds!